From unexplainable natural disasters to unfortunate man-made destructions, the world finds itself at a critical point in history, faced with the largest humanitarian crisis since the creation of the United Nations in 1945. The situation is severe in parts of Africa where the needs of the displaced are clearly vast, largely unmet, and day-to-day survival remains an existential struggle. This is Africa This Week, and I am your guide, Veronica Danik-Boy. We start off the day with earlier in the week. Welcome on board. We begin the news on Monday in Congo, where the opposition's call for mass protests against President Joseph Kabila's refusal to step down failed after only a handful of people showed up. The normally hectic streets of Kinshasa, a city of more than 10 million people, were nearly deserted, with heavy police presence patrolling and fearful residents staying at home. But sparse turnout in the capital and other major cities pointed to the opposition's waning credibility and persistent difficulties convincing Congolese to risk frequently deadly crackdowns by security services. This undermines efforts to oust Kabila, who has refused to quit at the end of his mandate last year. Hakainde Hichilema, the leader of the United Party for National Development in Zambia, was held at a police station in Lusaka on Tuesday after officers raided his home overnight. Hichilema is being questioned over allegations that he obstructed the motorcade of President Edgar Lungu. According to authorities, the opposition leader blocked President Lungu's motorcade with his own convoy of vehicles during a traditional ceremony in Zambia's western province over the weekend. Hichilema lost the presidential election to the incumbent Lungu last August. Now, thousands of South Africans gathered in Pretoria earlier on Wednesday to protest against President Jacob Zuma following his much-criticized cabinet reshuffle. The 75-year-old president has survived previous protests, but the march, dubbed National Day of Action, looks different from others in recent memory.
They massed in the capital in their thousands, united in song and dance, with signs depicting their message. President Jacob Zuma has seen unprecedented marches against his leadership. This is the second one in under a week. The backlash from his midnight cabinet reshuffle continues to reverberate. At the head of this march, opposition leaders. Hand in hand, they walked to the seat of government.
President Jacob Zuma tried to dismiss these mass protests as racist. But from what you can see behind me, there's a cross-section of South Africans. Different parties, different colors, different backgrounds, all united for one goal, to see the end of a Zuma era.
When the state of South Africa is threatened, we put aside our differences. We unite for the purpose of winning back our beautiful country. We must salute these leaders, because when we are united, we will never be defeated by an illiterate president.
We will fight until the last drop of our blood to defend our motherland. Those who are threatening us, the peacetime revolutionaries have never seen us fight. They must try us and they will see how we will fight.
We can't continue marching forever. We must find a way to converge in under one roof to discuss South Africa's future. We must find a vehicle that will provide a safe space for us, irrespective of political affiliation.
And while their desired solution may seem far off, opposition parties say they'll continue this momentum They've promised similar protests in every major city in the country. Valdi Carlson, TVC News, Johannesburg.
A circuit court in Ghana on Thursday fined the 13 members of pro-New Patriotic Party group, Delta Force, about $584 each for escaping from court. They were convicted on their own plea and fined 200 penalty units or a 3-year jail term. The men are expected to sign a bond of good behavior for a period of 6 months or face a 2-year jail term.
The 13 were on trial at the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly Court last week when about 50 members of their group raided the court and freed them. They were arrested in March for vandalizing a state institution and attacking a security advisor of the New Patriotic Party.
There should have been at least a sentence so that it will serve as a deterrent, because politicians, they are those having the money in the system, and they are the same people who employ them to work for them. You funding the person, definitely somebody will also sit somewhere and go and do, because at the end of it all, it is money is going to pay.
Last year, yes, people, even their own was just a comment, and they were jailed, they were fined as well. Yes, so I think this one, they should have jailed them to serve as a deterrent to others.
The two major political parties, the New Patriotic Party and the National Democratic Congress, have such groups that go on rampage when they are dissatisfied with a political decision or electoral event. In the face of recent happenings, there's widespread fear across the country.
Last, I was just talking to my wife about this issue, and he said, no, we should try and get our passport in case if something happens, so that we can just, run away from the country, because what is going on is serious matter. It's not a joke, something that we should just look at the thing and just close our eyes on it.
When they are allowed to do their own things, they will take the laws into their own hands, just like they did at the court, and it's going to erupt into a whole lot of things. Considering Boko Haram, what happened in that country, Nigeria, I guess, yeah, and all other militants, this is how they started. This is how they all started. And so if it is not stopped now, it's going to generate a whole lot of things that will worry us.
The Minister for National Security, Albert Kandapa, has stated that vigilante groups in Ghana have no legal recognition, and so they have no mandate to operate in the country. He warns that politicizing such groups would undermine efforts of security agencies to clamp down on their illegal activities.
The raising of vigilante groups for the purpose of personal security seems harmless. However, political analysts say it shows the distrust political parties have in state security services, whether they are in power or in a position. This trend is partly born out of the seeming political polarization of state security services. Eunice Jariotri, TVC News, Accra.
It has been 3 years since the abduction of more than 200 girls from a secondary school in Chibok, Borno State. For the parents of the missing girls and those who have been rescued, they are yet to recover from the trauma.
Rebecca Samuel sews clothes for a living, but she does this mainly to keep herself occupied in order to block out harrowing experiences of the past. She has to deal with the grim reality that her 18-year-old daughter, Sarah Samuel, was one of the girls abducted by Boko Haram at Government Secondary School in Chibok. It's been 3 years now, but the hurt and pain still remain visible.
Moving on has been difficult. I weep every day for her, and I constantly pray for her return.
The Samuel family have been trying to move on with their lives, taking every day as it comes, but it has been difficult. Sarah's father is seen tending to the last of their 7 children. As emotions become visibly uncontrollable, it's obvious life can never be the same for these parents who still long to see their daughter.
Every day, I want her back in whatever form we are ready to receive her. We were told by one of the girls who was released, and she said, our daughter is alive, but as for now, we are not sure anymore.
Sadly, since the abduction of the Chibok girls, 19 parents have lost their lives. Psychological experts believe that this may have been due to the trauma of the events that occurred, and they also say that this would have led to other health complications. Since the abduction on the night of April the 14th, 2014, where 276 girls were taken, 57 have escaped, 24 were rescued, and 195 still remain in captivity. For parents like Rebecca Samuel, their hope still lies in the prayers they say every single morning for the return of their daughters. Kemi Balogun, TVC News, Abuja.
And with that, we have come to the end of Earlier in the Week. Up next is Digging Deep, and that will be after the break. Stay with us. In the never-ending story of exploitation lies the narrative of how criminal minds in high places have wasted the privileges of yesterday by looting the commonwealth of today and selling off the future of generations yet unborn. For a country once deemed as fantastically corrupt, it has been one scandal after another where Nigerians regularly count their blessings in terms of corruption cases lost and stolen monies found. On phone, I have Nelson Ekujumi, political analyst in Nigeria. Welcome to the program, Nelson.
Yeah, good afternoon, and good afternoon to our esteemed viewers.
All right, what are your thoughts on the Buhari administration's effort at fighting corruption in the country?
Yes, thank you very much. I think it's an indisputable fact that one of the bases under which Nigerians voted for President Muhammadu Buhari to come into office as the president was his avowed, credentials as an anti-corruption crusader, as a man of impeccable character and integrity. And one is very, very glad that till date, despite the attempts to blackmail, to mudsling, to pillory the administration's fight against corruption, the government has remained on course. This is not to say that there has not been some setbacks, because we know what the government inherited from the previous administration. But be that as it may, so far so good. I think Nigerians are appreciative of the fact that the choice they made on March 28, 2015 has not been in vain, because like the president rightly said, if we don't kill corruption, corruption will kill Nigeria. And, we have seen events unfold daily about how our past has been bastardized. But, there's hope that tomorrow will be better. Today we have a government in power that, despite all the shortcomings, that you should expect in any human endeavors, they have remained on course. But, it's a cause for worry. It calls to question our mental state of health, that people would have run our affairs like this in the past. And unless and until Nigerians come together to, assert their rights, to demand that they want to reclaim their country, these people who have messed up our past will continue to, want to play with our future. But I enjoin all Nigerians to remain focused, to remain committed, to support this government's resolve, to fight the corruption war.
All right, much as Nigerians would want to support this fight against corruption, how much hope do you think Nigerians will have, you as a representative speaking on the program, with looking at the level of looting being uncovered by Nigeria's anti-graft agencies?
Well, I think Nigerians must, keep up the hope, because, like they say, hope is the last milk, or the last breath of a man. And why we are here today is because we have hope that our tomorrow will be better. I just want to enjoin Nigerians, to key into this government's resolve to, rid the country of corruption, to reduce corruption to the barest minimum. Because whether we like it or not, it is a man's nature to sin. And corruption is one of the sins that man, usually commits. But as human beings, as people who want Nigeria to take its rightful place in the Community of Nations, as people who want us to return to our old path of glory, where we had a functional state, unlike what we have today, we all know the effect of corruption on our system. The effect of corruption is that our infrastructures today are decayed. We are living in a state that we are very, very insecure. We are living in a state that, basic access, the accessibility of Nigerians to basic needs of human beings that will make life meaningful for them is very, very absent. But we thank God that we have a government in office today that is determined, even though we know that government cannot be perfect, just like we don't expect any situation to be perfect. But as human beings, we continue to strive for perfection like our maker. And it is my belief that Nigerians owe that responsibility to generations unborn to keep the hope alive that, look, Nigeria must move forward.
All right, Nigeria is currently going through a recession, and while some blame it on the oil price, how much role do you think stealing, especially the discoveries made so far, and corruption has played?
Well, it is a fact that why we are today is not because of the activities of the government of the day. It's a result of the 4 steps we have made in the past. Because if we fail to save for the rainy day, we go out borrowing. And where we are today is because of the fact that in the past we made so much money. But we fail to realize that, like they say, there is a time for rain and there is a time for sun. Like no condition is permanent. So it's because of the fact that we have allowed corruption to eat so deep into the fabric of the Nigerian society that today we are in recession. We had governments in the past that were not, focused on, in building the Nigerian spirit in the Nigerian people, such that they have confidence in themselves that they can produce what they eat. We were totally monoproduct economy. We were on a totally monoproduct economy in which we were import dependent on virtually everything under the sun. You see Nigerians making, being proud to say, I'm importing goods from China, I'm importing goods from Dubai. And you want to ask yourself, is there a crime if you are bringing goods from Aba? Is it a crime if you are bringing foodstuffs from Zamfara? Nigeria is a country that is richly endowed, materially and humanly, that we have no reason to go outside our shores for anything we need under the sun. But because we've had the responsible leadership in the past, that is why we are where we are today. But it builds on us to realize that our destiny is in our hands. And as we make our bed, we rely on it. If we want our country to be good today, it is in our hands to do that. So I enjoy Nigerians that, in as much as we realize we're in economic recession, we can only get out of it through our own efforts, through our own ingenuity, which is not a short supply, because God has endowed us as human beings. That's why you see Nigerians competing favorably with any other nationals anywhere in the world for,
all right, now, Nelson, I need to move on now. Some of the corruption cases lost in court by government has been attributed to negligence and lack of coordination by various state agencies. Now, how much impact would this cases lost in court have on the government's determination to fight corruption?
Well, the loss of those cases, like you have rightly said, could be as a result of the negligence, which is a rehash of our past. But be that as it may, those are temporary setbacks. But we must also realize that fighting corruption is not a tea party. It's a long, tortuous journey. It's like the long walk to freedom. So it builds on us to realize that this journey will be full of setbacks, will be full of challenges, we will meet pitfalls. Our resolve as a people to engineer the government, to engender them that, look, even when we fall down, we make slips, we must rise up to ensure that this common enemy is defeated because of in the larger interest of the Nigerian society. So that is we realize these shortcomings will occur along the way. So, but as people, when we see these shortcomings, we must not keep quiet. We must talk about them. We must, invigorate the system to ensure that the larger interest of the society is uppermost in the activities.
Now, there are concerns about EFCC's effectiveness and the media trial of some criminal suspects. Where could the Commission be getting it wrong?
Well, I don't understand when people talk about media trial, because one fact I know very well is that the media is the fourth estate of the realm. And the media holds that responsibility to report activities of government. That is the only way through which government communicates with the people. So, but be that as it may, I think one of the lessons we will learn or we should take home from the fight against corruption is that there is need for us to rejig the system. That is the anti-corruption agencies. We should look at the train. Do they have the necessary manpower? Do they have the necessary motivation to do the work? Do they have the necessary resources? Because the fight against corruption in this age and time is beyond mere use of brute force. It's scientific because the corrupt elements and and their sponsors have also adopted scientific methods. So we must be on top of our game so that we'll be ahead of them to curtail this cankerworm. But be that as it may, there is need for us to look at the EFCC and not even the society as like to be an arm of the EFCC. Because like you have seen now, the whistleblowing policy is yielding dividends to the Nigerian people. So these are innovations we should look at in the system and also empower the EFCC personnel as well as the generality of Nigerians to realize that what you are doing today is not because of your today alone. It's because of generations unborn. And in that way, when the people are carried along, the people realize the essence of the fight, they will take up the fight as their own rather than the fight against corruption being the responsibility of the EFCC or the President Muhammadu Buhari's government alone. Because Nigeria belongs to Nigerians and not to the EFCC.
All right, finally, before we let you go, how crucial is the role of the judiciary at ensuring that suspects are eventually brought to book, going by the events that have played in the last 2 weeks?
Well, the role of the judiciary is very crucial, just like the role of the prosecution. We all know that it is the executive that prosecutes, and it's a fact that the judiciary is not a Father Christmas. If you bring a poor case to the judiciary, they have the duty to throw it out, because in judicial terms, the case must be proved beyond reasonable doubt. If the judiciary is not convinced, to give judgment on a case, the judiciary will, do appropriately to the case. So, be that as it may, it's also important for us to look at our judiciary. In which area can we help to make our judiciary better? Today, the judiciary is saddled with a lot of cases. Judiciary is working with less manpower. You go to a court, a magistrate or a judge will sit from, say, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., writing a long gun. Those are things that are inhibiting to the quick dispensation of justice. We should make it in such a way that, we reject even the judiciary system, and like they have done in Lagos State judicial system, in which they have looked at the welfare of the judicial officers, they have looked at the way to ensure quick dispensation of justice. We owe it also a responsibility to look at what is happening in the judiciary and address challenges in that area so that Nigerians could get quick dispensation of justice with regards to corruption cases or whatever cases, because, like they say, justice delayed is justice denied. So
all right,
Nelson,
I'm afraid we will have to leave it there for now because we are running out of time. But thank you for your contribution on Digging Deep on Africa this week.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
Well, in recent years, Africa has evolved into a region where the level of greed is mind-blowing, with stolen monies becoming recovered loots in an endless cycle of widening inequality. Corruption remains an obstacle to sustainable development, and in a situation where prosecution fails in breaking the pattern of crookedness, then the next revolution may not be far away. I have been your guide, Veronica Danik Boy. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.